Hello, this is Julian with Coffee Reviews, and today we'll be doing another blind taste test rankings video. Now, the way these videos work, for anybody that's not seen one of our previous blind taste test rankings videos, is we have 6 cups of coffee over here, and we have 6 boxes of coffee over here, and we're trying to identify which of these cups is which of these boxes based off of taste alone. Then we're going to be ranking them in order of our favorites to our least favorite. And there's a theme behind sharing one of these videos, and the theme behind this video is trying out Mazelab coffee for the first time, as they're a coffee roaster that came highly suggested to us. Now, a quick bit of background information about this coffee roaster. They are based out of Prague in the Czech Republic. They do roast on a Probat, and they are supposed to have a lighter profile to them as well. So those last two things are very much in line with my own preferences. So let's go ahead and introduce the coffees that will be featured in today's video, beginning with the Alo, a honey processed Ethiopian coffee. We also have the Alo, a wash processed Ethiopian coffee, the Bonito, a wash processed Colombian coffee, the Kamavindi Estate, a wash processed Kenyan coffee, the Papaya, a wash processed Ecuadorian coffee, and then the Mamaruntu, a natural processed Peruvian coffee. So let's go ahead and move these out of the way for the time being, as it gives us an opportunity to shuffle these around. And as always, none of them are labeled anywhere except on the bottom. We do just like to shuffle them around for good measure, as it also gives us an opportunity to discuss what we have on our hands here today. And this one, in theory, should be a little bit easier than some of the blind taste tests we've done recently, as we do have a Kenyan coffee, which I feel like should be pretty easy to detect. We only have one natural processed coffee, as I mostly chose to focus on their wash processed coffees, given that this is my first time trying this coffee roaster, and I wanted to be a little bit more safe with the coffees that we did select from them. And I imagine that the favorites going into this are going to be the Alo coffees and the La Papaya. So those are the coffees that are in line with my own preferences the most. Now, where we might get possibly tripped up is between the Pink Bourbon and the Kenyan coffee, as it's entirely possible that the Pink Bourbon Colombian coffee could act a little Kenyan-like, and for that matter, so could the La Papaya, as I've definitely had some Mejerados in the past that have had some tomato-like characteristics to them. And then outside of that, it is possible that the wash-processed coffees could trip us up depending on how delicate the Mejerado is presenting. Outside of that, though, I feel like the easiest to find will be that Peruvian coffee, and then outside of that, we will see what happens, as that's probably the biggest wild card in this one, and the Kenyan coffee is probably the biggest underdog, but I guess we will see, since this is my first time trying anything from this coffee roaster. All right, we will try the cup on the end first, so go ahead and move this one out of the way for now. And I'm going to look for the Peruvian coffees so that it won't taint my palate for the coffees that come after it. But we'll go ahead and start with this one right here, cup number 1. And this one isn't the Peruvian coffee. Immediately off the bat, I feel like I have a pretty good idea of what this coffee should be. I imagine it's either going to be our Mejerado or it's going to be the Pink Bourbon. And the reason I say that is because it does have a little bit of that savory characteristic to it, but not to the extent that I would expect from a Kenyan coffee. So it's not quite as bright as I would expect from a Kenyan coffee. I'm gonna place it right here for right now. It's actually a pretty nice first impression for the first thing I've ever tried from this coffee roaster. All right, let's go ahead and move on to cup number 2. Also not our Peru. This one has to be one of our Ethiopian coffees based off this first impression. I'm gonna go ahead and put it right here for right now. Could be the wash, could be the honey. I think the floral presentation of this coffee definitely does lend itself towards being a wash processed Ethiopian coffee. Very lovely first impression of this one too. So both these coffees have been pretty nice right off the start. All right, let's go and move on to cup number 3. Still not our Peru. I'm not entirely sure what this one is. It's the most tame of the 3 coffees that we have had up to this moment. I don't believe that it is going to be our Kenyan coffee. So for that reason, I'm gonna place it right here for right now. It's not our Kenya, it's not our Peru. I don't think it's our Pink Bourbon. It could possibly be then either the La Papaya or one of the Ethiopian coffees. I think I'd be surprised if it was the Ethiopian coffee though. So process of elimination, probably the La Papaya. Let's go and move on to cup number 4. Interesting. This one I think is going to be our other Ethiopian coffee. The way the fruits are presenting in these coffees, I feel like they can't be the Mejorado. Mejorato's fruits don't usually present in this sort of way, and the floral qualities and characteristics of them. So I think that these are probably going to be our Ethiopian coffees. I'm going to place them right there for right now, which means that in theory, we should have our Kenya and we should have our Peru back here. Cup number 5. I feel like this one's our Peru. I feel like I could smell the Peru from over here. This one's our Peru. I'm going to hold off on this one for right now. Move on to cup number 6. Now I'm hoping this one's our Kenya. It smells like a Kenya. And it's definitely our Kenya. Okay, good. That's a good sign. It's actually quite nice. It is a little bit more tomato-like than I would necessarily like based off of this first impression. So I'm going to place it right there for right now, and we'll go ahead and move on to the Peru for right now. Yeah, that's definitely our Peru. All things considered, it's not as heavy as I might have expected because it smells pretty heavy, but it's a little bit cleaner than I probably did expect going into it. I'm still going to place it right here for right now. Even though this one was a little tame, I don't think that I enjoyed the overall fermentiness of this one more than the tameness of this coffee. All right, I'm pretty happy with the way that they're ranked, and I'm pretty happy with what I think these two coffees are, so I'll go ahead and make guesses on them. I think the Kenya is my least favorite for right now. I do have a lot of hope and optimism for this coffee going forward though, because it does present pretty nice for a Kenyan coffee off the first impression. It is an SL28 coffee, and I feel like there's a lot of potential to be had with that one. This one right here, I'm confident is our Peru, so the Mamaruntu. I'm 100% confident on both of these. Here's where things get a little bit more tricky, but I feel like this one right here should be our Pink Bourbon. I'm gonna run through them one more time, finalize the way that I wanna rank them, and take some guesses on them. This one's a little citric, and I do wonder if the Mejorado is on the slightly more citric side of things. It does have some really nice sweetness to it. This one, it has to be our Pink Bourbon, just kind of the way the savoriness does present in it. So I think for that reason, probably our La Papaya, probably our Pink Bourbon, and these have to be our Ethiopian coffees. Definitely, that's definitely one of the Ethiopian coffees. Yeah, these are definitely our Ethiopian coffees. I'm gonna go with the La Papaya. I'm gonna go with the Bonito. This one right here. Which means one of these is the washed and one of these is the honey. And if I get these two flipped, I have no problem with that, honestly. I'm just gonna try to figure out which one feels a little bit more intense. This one's pretty delicate, but it has really nice intensity to it. I'm gonna guess this one's maybe our washed. Which means we've run out of space, but this one right here will be our honey processed coffee. All right, let's see how we did. Very confident on, I guess, the first handful. This one right here I said was our Kamavindi Estate, so it should say WK for washed Kenya. And about as straightforward as that one gets. Fair bit of tomato-like characteristics and qualities to it, very much Kenyan-like. All right, this one right here I said was our natural Peru. I'm also 100% confident in this one, so it should say NP, and it does. Again, fermentiness, heaviness of this one, dead giveaway, so it's still pretty nice for what it is. I do have some optimism that this one will improve. It's our only high-end coffee that we do have on this table, but let's go ahead and move on. Here's where things get a little tricky, but I do think that this one should be our La Papaya, so it should say WE for washed Ecuador, and it does. This one was a little bit more of a process of elimination as opposed to something that did give it away as being a Mejorado coffee. I can see it, especially now that I know that it is, and I kind of felt that way early on, but that kind of validates my initial impressions of it being maybe a little bit more citric forward of a washed Mejorado. All right, this one right here should be our Pink Bourbon, so it should say WC for washed Colombia. And straightforward. Okay. I was pretty confident in these ones, but once again, this one tastes like a Pink Bourbon. It has some Kenyan-like characteristics, but not overly tomato in the way that this one was. And that leaves us with our last two coffees. I honestly don't mind if I got these two flipped, but 100% would be nice. This one I said was our washed, so it should say WE for washed. Oh, actually it should say aloe washed, so AW for aloe washed. All right, perfect. And that means that this one right here is our aloe honey. And as you saw, I wasn't overly confident. This one was just a little bit more intense. This one just came out a little bit more tame, but both of them do have some nice relative intensity to them for being Ethiopian coffees. Both these two have a lot of promise. The reason I changed my initial order, so I did have an anaerobic natural Ethiopian coffee originally, but I opted for these aloe coffees, is because I've had really great success with aloe coffees this year. So it was really nice to see Mazelab offering them. These are off to a very nice first impression, and I'm curious to see how they will go from here. But yeah, 6 out of 6. As mentioned, I thought that this one was going to be an easier blind taste test rankings video, but I'm always happy when I end up getting it, especially when there was something at the end that could have potentially tripped us up. But very happy with the results. We will have a full review of all of the coffees that are seen in this video right here, so definitely stay tuned for those. But for right now, I'm going to leave this one at that. As I always say, if you guys are enjoying these blind taste test rankings videos, give this video a like. They take the most amount of effort, but they're easily the most fun videos to do as well. If you're enjoying the content in general, give this video a like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. This right here has been a blind taste test rankings video featuring 6 coffees from Mazelab Coffee. Thank you for watching.